If you have not yet seen my comedy special, Shabby Chic, it just came out a few weeks ago. It is completely free on YouTube. The link is in the show notes, or you can just search Shabby Chic Comedy Special on YouTube. Make that your weekend plans to catch up on my comedy special and watch that, and then send it to every single person you have ever met in your life. And you're like, oh, my grandma doesn't have text, or I don't care. Buy her a computer so that she can watch my new comedy special. Okay. The main topic today is going to be incredibly insightful, informative, life-changing, just so interesting. But the topic that I have the most passion for is TikTok drama. So it's kind of hard. This is going to be one of those episodes. What is the real main topic? Okay. The main thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about is I have come to think of procrastination differently. And it is really helping me. I always told myself these stories about I'm such a procrastinator. It must be the ADHD or the laziness or the fact that I was a spoiled only child growing up. And it could be all those things. But I did have a realization about how I think procrastination is really more your nervous system being in the freeze response. And I have found that when you adopt this realization and treat it as a nervous system issue rather than a laziness issue, like I'm not a good enough person, I'm not a good enough mother, I need to be like these influencers who keep their houses perfectly clean and make organic perfect food and somehow film 50 hours of content a week. That when you stop the comparison and stop the unnecessary shame and guilt and those things that we've said before, sometimes we go to very quickly, not because we're so moral and we're so humble, but because we like control. And blaming ourselves is honestly easier than dealing with like bigger, like systemic issues in our lives that could be contributing to this. So when we set aside unnecessary guilt and blame that really doesn't need to be there, and we examine, is this maybe a nervous system issue? It is my nervous system, for some illogical reason, sensing a lack of safety here and sending me into the freeze response. When I have approached my procrastination from that perspective, from my nervous system doesn't feel safe for some reason. So let's see what I can do to get myself to feel safe. As opposed to, I'm so lazy, I'm so awful, why haven't I gotten anything done today? I've wasted so much time. Let me tell you, the latter approach has allowed me to break so many blocks and get so much done the past few weeks. And I think that this topic is going to be so powerful that we actually connected with a team of researchers at Stanford who are on the cutting edge of AI generated sound effects. And we had a team of just the most cutting edge, most complex AI robots create a new sound effect for us that perfectly encapsulates the how is this podcast free feeling. I mean, and these computers take up a lot of resources. So it was, we burned through like 100 square miles of old growth forest to create this. And you can unveil it now. Our new sound effect for how is this podcast free. It's a subtle difference from the old one, but I think it was worth all those forests just being thrown into the incinerator so that my AI team at Stanford could create that sound effect. And yes, I do have my same drinking apparatus that I'm drinking through. In my mind, it was more epic drinking from this thing. As it is, it looks like I'm afraid of it. I'm probably going to get banned from YouTube. Like do you guys remember, speaking of TikTok, I got kicked off of TikTok. I had my account suspended for 2 weeks because I was holding up not a blow dryer. I was holding up a curling iron. And they thought I was holding up something else. And they banned me for adult content. So now this thing that I'm drinking out of is probably going to be the same thing all over again, because that is my life. So the main topic will be about, this thing that is just going to change your whole life. The idea of approaching procrastination from a nervous system issue. But really, who cares? Because we have TikTok drama. Caitlin has informed me that she is not familiar with the antipasto situation. So I am guessing that you guys probably aren't either. And that's one of the many benefits you get from this podcast is I am chronically online so that you people who have healthy, balanced lives don't have to be. Like when you were taking a nature walk with your children, when you were on hour 2 of glitter crafts before the second rosary of the day that you were saying with your children, I was scrolling TikTok and I was hours deep into the latest drama about an antipasto appetizer situation. This lady got kicked out of a party. She was sobbing on TikTok. And it's just a delicious drama. And I do want to say, like, because we'll go into it in a minute after I do the show intro, but I mean, I feel like I should state for the record, I do not support sharing your drama publicly. If someone hurts your feelings, I don't think that the right answer is to go sob about it on TikTok and record phone calls and put them on TikTok. But if you do that, just make sure it ends up on my For You page so that I can spend my entire week getting right in the center of it and going very, very deep into it. By the way, someone told me I'm getting crushed in the TikTok algorithm these days. Like it's worse than YouTube. It's like I get 1 view on TikTok compared to my 5 on YouTube. And someone was like, they actually look at what you scroll. And so I should be looking at all stand-up comedy if I want my stuff to go viral. But that stresses me out because then I get mad if I see my foes, if I see someone who is rude to me in a green room doing better than I am. So I never look at stand-up comedy. It is drama. It's gossip and it's makeup tutorials and the occasional like Catholic stuff. Like there are a couple of monks who do actual great content on there. And that's it. And so it's, maybe that explains. TikTok is like, why do you keep posting this stand-up comedy? This does not seem to be something you care about. So anyway, that's how I use my TikTok account. Welcome to the Jen Fulwiler Show. This is the podcast where you learn the art of the village hustle. That is being a hot girl boss or hot boy boss who knows that love and family and community are the foundations of all true success. I am your host, Jen. I am a best-selling author, stand-up comic, and mom of 6. I had 6 babies in 8 years. We are coming to you from Austin, Texas, and Caitlin White is our lovely producer, and we publish new episodes every Wednesday. And the Patreon is great. The Patreon is where I go into a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff. One of my personal favorite recent Patreon episodes, there are multiple levels of the Patreon, but on the higher level, I did like a mini documentary of a weekend where I had multiple Austin stand-up shows that I was going to, and I was really trying not to bomb, and I was stressed about it, and I turned it into kind of a documentary of how I managed to not be stressed out when I am going on stage on these showcases where it's in front of people at these Austin bars where nobody knows who I am. Nobody cares. All the other comics are male. They're all like 30 years old and they're all doing completely filthy sets. And then I get up after these guys with a clean set with mom jokes and I have to get these audiences to like me and laugh approximately once every 20 seconds. So how do I get that not to stress me out? I turn that into like a mini short, like 20-minute documentary. So that's the kind of stuff I talk about on Patreon. Patreon.com/thisisjen. You can sign up. It's the bonus content all there. And as soon as you sign up, you get instant access. It unlocks the whole thing instantly. Patreon.com/thisisjen. And of course, if you have not yet watched my comedy special, Shabby Chic, it is completely free on YouTube. Just search for Shabby Chic comedy special or go to the link in the show notes. Okay. this antipasto thing. It is, I mean, there's so much to say. Okay. Deep breaths. Okay. All right. I need to make sure I get this right. A woman named Nicole, and her TikTok account is Folk Medicine Remedies. Okay. She is from the Northeast. She had recently moved to where, Caitlin? We did research.
I don't remember the county, but something county, Virginia.
Virginia. Yeah. And this is, you'll quickly see, I don't think this is Virginia, like right next to Washington, D.C.
No.
I don't think this was Alexandria. I think this is a different vibe of Virginia. I actually didn't know there were parts of Virginia that had the heavy Southern accent and that sort of thing. Okay, so Nicole is from the Northeast. Well, I'll give you the very short version, and then you can hear the rest in Nicole's words. She's new in town. Was really excited to go to a party. Pull up this image, Caitlin. So she brings this antipasto. I've been informed that people in the Northeast call it antipast. I think that's right. Correct me in the YouTube comments. That's crazy. Why you guys, Europeans do this all the time. Like they just drop letters out of their pronunciation for no reason. I can't do it. Okay, so that does, what else in there, Caitlin?
Looks like salami, pepperonis, tomatoes, cheese of some sort, probably mozzarella. But
Yeah. Balsamic vinegar drizzled on top. This was, and the lady mentioned, this was like a $40 plate of, the tomatoes were from her garden. It was the best cuts of meat. So she was really excited to make new friends. So she walks into the house and they were like, "Who are you?" They didn't know who she was. And they kick her out. And she was so flustered, she just left her antipasto there. In a footnote, they were like, "We fed it to our dogs later." They were like, "No, we didn't eat it." Okay, so the woman's name is Nicole. And this is right after it happened. Oh, the other important fact is this was July 4th. And she brought her 2 children who, again, she was invited, Nicole, and her 2 children were invited by a lady named Samantha. Okay, are you with me? Take notes. Look, just even if you're on a super highway, just pull over on the side so that you can get out a pen and paper and take notes. Nicole is the one from the Northeast, new in town. Nicole and her 2 children were invited by Samantha, who is a local. Samantha knew the homeowners. Okay, their last name is Hicks. We're trying not. That's their last name. The homeowners' names are Hicks. Okay, so Samantha invited Nicole and her 2 children, and Nicole and her 2 children got kicked out, and it was 4th of July. So one of the reasons that Nicole was so upset is her 2 little boys were told, "We're going to a 4th of July party and there's going to be fireworks." And everyone with kids knows that's a fun holiday for them. They want to see fireworks. And she was just crying because I'll let you. Okay, so play the first video, Caitlin.
Like I had to hold it together for the 15 or 20 minute drive home because I didn't want the kids to be like completely like upset. So I was invited to a 4th of July party the other day by my son's best friend's mother. And I thought it was possibly like a family party or just like a neighborhood party or something, because it's like a road in the woods kind of thing where they're at the end and then her mother and her uncle and then like a couple other houses. But I don't know anybody. I'm new to this area. I just moved 1,000 miles away to be here. And so I made an antipasto salad, like this big, gorgeous salad. And I asked, is there anything you want me to bring? Thank you so much. I was so gracious. I kept reiterating that. Thank you so much for like inviting me. I don't know anybody here. Like, and I get there and the kids get out and I grab the antipasto and I brought 1 beer with me because I was only going to drink 1 beer because I don't know, like I have kids to drive home. Honestly, never been treated like this.
Okay, so and she even brought her own beer. Yeah. This all makes sense to me. By the way, this as usual, we are putting the link to this exact episode on YouTube in the show notes. So if you're listening on the audio version and you want to see any videos and pictures that I am putting up, it's totally free. Anyone can, get on YouTube and watch this completely free. You can just click on that link and go straight through to this episode so that you can see these videos. It's funny too that she brought that nice salad because listen, my ADHD brain I would have forgotten to bring anything. So we would have run into the convenience store and I'd have a bag of chips that's not even family size, like one of those personal bag of chips. And then I have 6 kids. So it's like, I brought the whole army and now I find out I'm not invited. And before we go on and listen to the rest of Nicole's retelling of the story, let me just say that this whole thing would have never happened in a Catholic home because that party would have 15 kids running around, 4 or 5 rowdy uncles, 2 drunk aunts, one of them's a nun, someone's in labor, everyone's running around like crazy. If you show up at a Catholic home that is having a party, your biggest concern it needs to be like, how are you going to get out of there? And the antipasto, like everyone would descend on it like piranhas. It's gone as soon as you haven't even finished setting it on the table and it's gone. And you're going to be holding a baby, changing a baby's diaper, opening wine, maybe all at once. And you just need to worry about like getting out. There would be no like, we don't recognize, who are you? They'll think that you're related to them. They won't know that you're not part of the family. This would never happen. And may I blame this on the culture of death? May I? Because would this ever happen in old world Italy? Caitlin, imagine this happening at a quinceañera.
Oh no!
Like in Mexico, there would be like 80 people there. You couldn't get kicked out of that party if you tried. it like couldn't happen. Name any Catholic country, this would never happen. Okay, so we're blaming Protestants again. we're blaming the culture of death and a little bit Protestants. Okay, go ahead.
She was like, what in the world? Like, I mentioned that she was coming. Like, okay. So, and I was like, I'm really sorry. I don't even know whose house this is. And the girl goes, exactly. You shouldn't be in here. And I was like, okay. So I walk outside, and when I get out on the porch, the girl Stasia I introduced myself to, it wouldn't even look at me. She turned herself looking away on the porch, and there's all these people just angrily looking at me and like nasty. And one guy was like, welcome to the neighborhood, see you later. And I was like, okay. So I just dumped my beer out, and I was just like, I was totally distraught. And like, I've never been treated like that. Like, I left the salad for them. It was like brown.
That's crazy too, that someone was like, welcome to the neighborhood, see you later. So they knew, and by the way, we'll get to this later, but the homeowners have responded. No one has denied that any of these interactions happened. Even the people who are being accused are kind of like, yeah, that's what happened, but we had a right to do all this. And so by being like, welcome to the neighborhood, see you later, that is acknowledging they know she's a neighbor. Mm-hmm. They know she lives around there. Okay, play the third part of her. This, by the way, this isn't her whole explanation. You can look it up yourself at Folk Medicine Remedies is her TikTok account, but this is the last part that I clipped for you guys.
I'm carrying the salad and I have my beer, and I just wanted to put the salad down and chat and introduce myself to everybody.
Okay, I got these out of order. So the one that just played is when she left. So sorry, this was the missing middle piece of what happened before the welcome to the neighborhood, see you later comment. Okay, go ahead.
And I guess the homeowner's name is Stasia, and her husband, I don't even know who he was. He walked by me kind of angry and like ignored me, but I was like trying to introduce myself to everybody. And her uncle, my son's friend's mom's uncle and mother were there, and they were the ones doing the fireworks, and they had like 500 rounds. And I'm just chatting, not even 5 minutes in the door, and somebody walks in the house and is like, are you going to introduce yourself to somebody? Like, it's really rude to walk into somebody's house and not introduce yourself. He's absolutely flipping out outside about some stranger. And I was like so confused. I looked like a deer caught in headlights because I thought I was invited. And even the mother that like invited me, she was like, what in the world? Like, I mentioned that she was coming. Like, okay, so,
Can you
and I was
imagine? Can you imagine that behavior? Okay, now I have really put my thinking cap on for this because we all know how internet drama goes. Sometimes it's fake, first of all, but then sometimes you get all wound up supporting one person and then the other side of the story comes out and you're like, oh, they're actually a horrible human being. But I really tried to think what Stasia is the name of the female homeowner, the wife. I was like, what could Stasia possibly have been thinking? The only thing that I could come up with, Caitlin, and you'll be able to get in on this too. You know how in our neighborhood, so Caitlin used to live near us, and we have block parties on this street sometimes. And, you know, everyone gets together in the cul-de-sac and there's snacks and there's food and everyone's hanging out and having a great time. And I'm hiding behind a tree because I'm socially awkward and like finding an excuse, like I have to go to the bathroom, quote unquote, and I'm gone 18 minutes. So yeah. But so I'm wondering, like, maybe it was an outdoor party and they didn't expect people to be inside. Because what I was trying to imagine is if we were having one of those block parties and let's say you went to get something from your house and a stranger was in there, you would be surprised. But how would you have reacted if it's a block party? It's a woman. She has 2 kids and a lovely antipasto salad that she is putting in your kitchen. How would you react?
I mean, I'm just a nice person. I'd be like, oh my goodness, how are you? Are you here for the party? Like,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah, and because so Caitlin's a good person, and I'm not, but I have such severe neurodivergency that this would have gone viral if it happened to me for totally different reasons. Because I would be like, this is someone I know and I don't recognize, because you guys know I have face blindness. It is a genetic thing. My dad had it too. We cannot tell people apart. And I'd be like, is this my cousin? Is it like, maybe I'm related to this person. Who is it? So I would have been trying to play it off like, hey, good to see you. Finally, you're late. Crazy. And I would have been trying to play it off like I knew her, because I would be like, this is my fault 100%. Or is like, maybe she's a DoorDash. Did I order an antipasto? Is DoorDash like really upping their customer service level and they're bringing it inside with like kid helpers to serve it? Like, I don't know. So it would be super awkward for totally different reasons, because I would be like, I haven't seen you in so long. How are you, dear friend? And she'd be like, this house is freaking me out. I got to go. So she would have left for different reasons if it were at my house. But so I think it's weird that the homeowners have done a horrible job explaining themselves. And so they never said this. They never said it was an outdoor party and they did not expect people to be inside. But that's the only thing I can put together of why they would have been so shocked at the idea of someone they didn't know being in their house. But listen to this. You can't make this stuff up. The woman, Stasia, went on social media, and I do think this is her actual account. Some people were debating, is this really her? I do think it is, because ABC News linked to it and said it was her. So listen, man, I don't research. I could be talking about Catholic stuff and be like, I don't know, I think this is doctrine, maybe not, but here we go. This is what you should do as a Catholic. But when it comes to TikTok drama, I'm like, I verified that this video is legit. So this was Stasia's quote unquote apology once this went viral. Oh, and one other thing, Nicole, the person who was kicked out, she did not name their first and last names. She did say the first name Stasia, but she didn't say where she lives. She didn't dox them. She wasn't like, it's Stasia and I forget her husband's name. But I mean, it is a unique name, so it wasn't hard for people to find them. But it does seem like Nicole didn't mean for people to know who this was. But what really made this whole thing pop off, I think this would have gone away if it weren't for this video from Stasia.
My husband is not a mean person. We are not mean people. Neither is my mother-in-law. We simply did not know who this person was that come into our house unannounced to not a party. Let's clarify. This was not a party. This was a get-together of people who knew each other, okay?
What?
And just because we didn't know her doesn't mean that she couldn't have stayed and hung out. We just didn't want her in our house, okay? And there's nothing wrong with that. But to you people that are getting on TikTok and all my social medias, first of all, or my husband's or my...
That's so funny. That line, it wasn't a party. It was a get-together of people who know each other. Like, what
else do you call a party?
Yeah, that's like, this is not a podcast, okay? This is not a podcast. It is a self-produced weekly show where one person talks to their 5 listeners. It's not a podcast. Like, what? Okay, so now, Caitlin, pull up. So someone has now created a fake Halloween costume, and they posted it with the audio of Stasia's apology, and I will describe it for those listening on audio. Put the audio way down so I can talk over it, Caitlin.
We simply did not know who this person was.
So it's antipasto party burglar. It's someone dressed up as a burglar holding the antipasto.
This was a get together.
And then pull up the other meme, the one of the non-party. So people are using AI to generate not only images, but there have been some videos as well. So this is an AI image of a group of very sour-looking people in the background, and then a nice lady holding antipasto in front. And it has a party banner, and under it the words "Get together of people who know each other." That's so amazing. That would be so tempting to have a gathering. If I had more chronically online friends, let me rephrase that. If I had more friends, I would throw a party where it's like, I would do that this weekend. Be like, I am doing a gathering of people who know each other, and I would kick out anyone I didn't recognize. Okay, so now let's just acknowledge one elephant in the room. It is a little toxic to be crying on TikTok. Anytime someone cries on TikTok, I do always kind of feel like that is not the least toxic behavior in the world. Nicole has also many times she was, I've heard her say like 4 or 5 times in the many videos she puts up. She's like, I am a writer with an online following. I can't help it if people, got up in arms about it. And she has recorded every single phone call. I mean, I was going through like, it just doesn't end. It's like the woman who invited her, now I've already forgotten her name, Samantha. She recorded a phone call with Samantha. Here's we have the recording of the husband. Now his name is escaping me, but Mr. Hicks, he called her, and it's a long video, but just at the end, you can hear what he says in his quote unquote apology. That the first man's voice you will hear is Nicole's husband, who was like, how could you do this to my wife? And then you'll hear the voice on the phone that is Stasia's husband, Mr. Hicks. And you can just kind of hear from this one quick snippet what a non-apology this is.
Like that. That's unacceptable. It's just trash behavior.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
like I said, I'm sorry that you took that the wrong way.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was no other way to take it.
There really was no other way to take it. And I hope you enjoyed your salad. And it was very unpleasant to meet you guys. Have a good weekend.
But yeah, that's not an apology to say, I'm sorry. What did he say? Like, I'm sorry that's the way you interpreted it? Or
Yeah.
I'm sorry that's the way you took it?
Yeah.
That's not an apology. But there is, I just want to acknowledge, there is a little grain of like, she has recorded many phone calls that I don't get the impression that the person on the other end knew they were being recorded and put on TikTok. So by the way, the cops are involved now.
Ooh.
Because someone said that the sheriff was coming after them because he is friends with the Hicks family. And it's like, what in the Dukes of Hazzard is going on here? Like, come on, really? Like, Boss Hogg is going to show up at their door? This is insane. But so then the police called them and said, and this police deputy actually seemed very nice. He just said someone made a death threat against the sheriff, and we wanted to see if it was your husband. And this deputy seemed perfectly nice. He was told to call them, so he did. And she recorded it like she records everything and put it on TikTok. And I mean, we don't know for sure. I just really don't think that she had permission to post that. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. But people were like making fun of that guy and his accent. And it's like, okay, I don't. That's not the least toxic behavior, even though she was in the right. I am fully on Nicole's side. I just also am like, I don't know. I was thinking like, if someone did that to me, I hope I would know so that I could be like, well, I think we should really focus on the fact that I have some new fall tour dates coming out soon at jfcomedytour.com. It would be like every other sentence. They'd be like, Jen, we don't like the way you treated us. And I'd be like, well, I'm sorry you took it that way, jfcomedytour.com. I just think jfcomedytour.com that we should resolve this in a different manner since I do have my fall tour coming up. So I feel like, look, if you're putting this on the internet, I'm getting some promo out of it. But what's amazing too is this is now international. Play the video of this woman talking in Spanish about what's going on here.
Necesito que hablemos de este chisme. Esto es un chisme de Estados Unidos, pero está bien caliente y está buenísimo. Te voy a dar todo el contexto. Básicamente, el chisme es sobre esta mujer que ella al parecer es como de algún estado de los Estados Unidos del noreste y se acaba de mudar recientemente a algún estado del área sur de los Estados Unidos. Al parecer ella es madre, okay. No sé si tiene uno o dos hijos.
This is driving me crazy. If anyone knows what kind of Spanish accent that is, please leave a comment because I was trying to figure out where that woman's from. That wasn't Mexican at all. I
don't think so.
I don't think it was South America either. Maybe Argentina. Maybe. I'm thinking Spain. Anyway, if you know, leave a YouTube comment because I'm very curious because I was trying to place that accent. But so I also realized this is how I can get really good at Spanish. I'm just going to take all the TikTok drama that I'm into and watch Spanish language retellings of it. Because I actually tracked with pretty much everything that woman was saying, mainly because I know all the words. I'm like, antipasto, party, appetite, like the words were kicked. I was like, yeah, because I know what subset of the lexicon we will be using for this, like called the cops, like I know what words I need to be listening for here, like fireworks, 4th of July. I'm actually dead serious. Like I'm not kidding at all that I'm probably going to use that as a way to brush up on my Spanish. And I recommend that you guys do the same. And then the final thing is we do have some Ring camera footage. Someone posted that on TikTok and it was a little bit, quieter and less explosive. Hopefully you guys will be able to hear the audio. The Ring camera cuts out. This is in the Hicks house. And the main thing you'll hear is at the very end, you'll hear Nicole saying sorry as she walks out. It probably helps to see the video again. Click through to the YouTube version of this episode, totally free. You can click on through. Okay, play it.
Are good. I'm fine. Oh my gosh, those are good.
No. Okay.
They don't measure. Yeah. I'll leave it. Well, no, that's not it. He's like, who's in my house? Who was that just walked in? Okay. Sorry. Well, no, that's anybody's house that you don't know. I have no idea whose house.
So that's interesting that we're now looking at Ring camera footage. I also thought, man, these are wholesome people that they can have a Ring camera in their living room. I just feel like I don't know what my husband and I would say that would be inappropriate and we would not want recorded on the Ring camera, but it would be something. I feel like that is very wholesome of them to put a Ring camera in their house. So I think couple of takeaways. One is, I am not in favor of putting drama on the internet, but if people are going to do it, it is pretty entertaining, actually. And I think my takeaway is, I guess I have a couple takeaways. Maybe I think that I do believe they were genuinely surprised that she was there. And it just goes to show whatever culture they are in. And I don't mean the culture of Virginia or even their part of Virginia, but it's definitely a kind of closed off, fearful sort of culture. And I think if they had just reacted with more of a yes and kind of, an improv sort of like, okay, well, who is it in this house? Let's figure it out. And just had a little bit more joy in their lives and a little bit less fear, especially that it's a woman holding food with 2 children. I mean, how scary can that really be? I mean, come on, guys. How scary can that really be that she brought food? It does make me think maybe I do need to bring food every time I go to a party, because I'm not that gracious. I'm not great about doing that. And now, I mean, people would think I'm a burglar. I mean, I don't know. I probably don't look like I'm capable of burgling anything. But yeah, I don't know. It's like, just guys, like, relax, like, have more of a yes and attitude towards life. Let me know what you guys think, actually, in the YouTube comments, because even though, like, I think that crying about it on TikTok is maybe not the solution, but she was definitely wronged. It seems like she was definitely wronged, and it was very hurtful. And I hope Nicole doesn't let a moment like that impact her self-esteem, because that's something we could also do, is feel like, oh, I'm rejected. And, when the right answer is that, hanging out with culture of death people is annoying, and that's, you should just avoid them, because it's always going to be something weird. There were a couple times that I was told that, like, we were specifically not invited to things that other people were invited to because we had too many kids, and it was in the neighborhood. This is before you lived here. And I wonder if you would have been invited, because you have 4 kids. So that might have been on the line. They might be like, Caitlin, yes, Jen, no. But that was hurtful, but again, don't hang out with culture of death people is, I think what we're learning. Okay, before we get to the main topic, I had such a great experience this past weekend. I was on one of these showcases in Austin that I was talking about earlier. Again, the crowd does not know me at all. And I had it in an unusually high amount of time. Normally, when I do these shows in Austin, it's 8 minutes, maybe 10. They gave me 20 minutes. And I was terrified, because that's a long time to bomb if it's not going well. And you can bomb there, especially with Austin crowds. I do clean comedy. I'm from a whole different demographic than these guys. I'm from a whole different demographic of the other comics on the show. This isn't hyperbole. It is possible that I could bomb for 20 minutes. And one thing is, you really can't cut it short, because the show organizers are planning on each person sticking with their allotted amount of time on stage. So the MC, who goes up in between different comics, he might not even be in the room until 2 minutes before you're supposed to wrap up. So you can really destroy a show if you wrap up much sooner than they expect. Ask me how I know. Learned that one the hard way. And so you just have to stay up there. And, they say that people fear public speaking more than they fear death. And I don't think people should feel that way about public speaking, but bombing for 20 minutes with stand-up comedy, you should fear that more than you fear death, actually. That's pretty horrific. So I was stressed going into it. And Luckily, Caitlin was there. I've decided she's my good luck charm. Like I've done really well the past few times that Caitlin has been at shows, and she and one of her friends, who's a great lady, showed up. Meant a lot to me, and it went really, really well. And I even did crowd work. You know, that's where comedians talk to the audience. That is a big trend in stand-up comedy. You've probably seen clips where someone's like, what do you do for a living? Are you guys dating? Generally, I hate crowd work. I find it very lazy and rude on the part of the performer. These people paid to be here to be entertained. I just can't imagine taking people who paid money to be entertained by you and then expecting them to provide you with entertainment. It's just unconscionable to me. Especially that, I mean, I think I'm too deep in this world because I just follow so many comics on Instagram, and it's just, I've just seen clips where they are straight up rude to the crowd, and I'm just like, in what world that these people have that paid money, taken time, they're, you know, buying drinks and stuff at the comedy club, taken time out of their schedules when there's so many other things they could be doing with their time, and you're being rude that this guy's not laughing hard enough at your jokes about your genitalia? Like, really? It just floors me every time I see it. But that said, I do think there is a place for chatting, a little bit of chatter with audience members who seem receptive to it. I wouldn't kind of pick on someone who seems very withdrawn and like they don't want to be spoken to, but sometimes you can just tell someone's like they're itching to get in on, like they want to get in on it. So this was a big victory for me. I'll play this clip. You might not be able to hear it very well, but I just kind of want to bring you guys into it because it was a special moment for me and I want to share it with you. So play the clip. Great laughs for this show, by the way.
Just when I get to the best part of my set, they ask me to leave. It's terrible.
Okay, going into the crowd work here.
But I really do drive a minivan. That's a hard transition for your identity as a woman, but I think it's harder as a man. Like, yeah, sir, you look like a guy's guy. You don't drive a minivan, do you? Do you?
So he's saying...
Did you have kids? So he drove a minivan. Did you have kids or were you just a kid now? Yeah, right. Why not both? Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, so that's not the answer I expected. But you know how a lot of guys are always like,
okay, so then I went into
really fast. Dude, that has 8 cylinders.
You can pause it. So that kind of changed how I feel about crowd work, because you can, even though you couldn't hear what the guy was saying, you can hear from his tone, he was into it. He was excited to be part of the show. It was an innocuous question. It was nothing embarrassing. I can't believe these comics. I like ask people about their intimate lives, about their hygiene habits. I cannot imagine. But this was an innocuous question. It's nothing embarrassing to him. He enjoyed being part of it. So it kind of changed my perception of crowd work. But here's why I wanted to share it with you guys. One of the things that I really had in my head when I first got into stand-up comedy is I just kind of took it for granted. It wasn't even anything I overtly stressed about a whole lot, but I just kind of thought it was a fact that I don't fit in and I'm not respected either by other comics or by these crowds, because everyone knows I'm Catholic. I mean, that has really gotten around, even though in most of my Austin sets, I don't even bring up Catholic stuff. Oddly enough, sometimes I do, and it tends to go really well, but I mostly don't mention it, but somehow it got around. So everyone knows I'm Catholic. Everyone can guess what I think about certain controversial issues, since I'm in it. I'm deep in the Catholic ghetto. Like, you guys know what I think about, certain issues. And so I just assumed I was, disliked. Nobody wanted me here. And that, that I'm a different age. I'm a different lifestyle than these crowds. I mean, most Austin crowds, it's like average age is, 28, 30. And not a lot of parents. I mean, so they're like, what, this woman talking about mom stuff. And so that, to me, that was just a fact. Like, the sun rises, the sun sets, and I am not liked or respected in Austin comedy. And after a few years of it, I realized, I'm not sure that that's true. I'm not sure that needs to be true. I just thought that would definitely be the landscape. But I guess it was God just sort of revealed it to me eventually, that I couldn't help but notice. I'm like, a lot of these Austin comics, even the ones who, we're not on the same page about much of anything, in terms of like social views, worldview or whatever, but they're kind to me. I'm kind to them. We respect each other, and a lot of these guys are very talented. They're really good. And I realized, I thought, well, I mean, no one is actually treating me like they don't respect me. So I did an experiment, guys. I did an experiment where I decided to just pretend for a few months that I'm actually really well liked, and I'm respected, and I fit in the comedy scene. Even though, demographically, I'm an outlier in terms of, I'm a parent, I'm in my 40s, I'm Catholic. I mean, I am wildly an outlier on paper. But I thought, let's just assume that I fit in. And what's crazy is that I just started to see all these ways that I do fit in, and people like me just fine, actually. And they, the other comics see me as a character. I mean, that a lot of stand-up comedy, that it is, you're kind of playing a character to some extent. And I'm the Catholic mom of the Austin comedy scene, and everyone gets it, and they think I'm funny, and they think I'm good, and these crowds get it. And it was just this absolute breakthrough for me when I just decided to operate as if I was accepted. I wasn't like bringing antipasto to a Stasia Hicks, party. So it went differently than it does for some people. But I just decided to operate under that assumption. And it really made me realize how much I had been clinging to a false narrative. It made me realize that all of those stories about, people don't want me to be part of this scene, and these audiences are like, oh, who's this lady? We don't want to hear from her. Like, it's just not true. I mean, none of it was true. That was the wiring of my brain that was formed when I was a outcast in junior high. That was the old, wiring speaking. And when I let that go, it was only after I let it go and acted as if I did fit in that I could really see just how false it had been, this narrative that I had been living in. So look out for those kind of things in your own life, because I wish I had realized this sooner. This could have changed a lot of things for me sooner. And the reason why this show was particularly a lesson for me is, one, I was up there 20 minutes. Caitlin can affirm I did really well. I had them rolling the whole time. There was no part of the set, where I lost the audience or anything. They really liked me. That crowd work went really well. I mean, they just loved me. I mean, that crowd just loved me. That wouldn't have happened if I was operating under the old mindset. That would not have happened. That show would not have gone that way, because I used to walk on these Austin stages just in the quote unquote knowledge, like just with the quote unquote fact. I mean, I really felt like this was in this immutable truth that, these people don't like me, but whatever, I'll try to win them over, I'll try to get through it. And to just go on stage for that 20 minutes and just have the attitude of, I think they like me just fine. I think they're going to think this is great. I think when I walk on stage, they'll be happy to see me go on stage. They'll assume I know what I'm doing, and I'm going to act accordingly and see how it goes. And sure enough, they seem to like me just fine. So just watch the narratives. Like, for example, I remember back in the blog world, I've mentioned many times what a toxic and truly, truly insane culture that was. The religious blog world back in the day, man, those were rough times. Those were some mean streets. 2005 to like 2012. That was very, very rough time. And there'd be a lot of stories about, you know, I went to mass and I got dirty looks from these people and that people. And of course that happens. That does happen sometimes. It's like Nicole with Stasia Hicks and her husband. There are people who are going to be hostile to you in life. That is just part of life. But so I remember I would read some of these bloggers and think, you know, yeah, you seem very determined to believe that you're constantly being rejected and people judge your family size. Oh, I remember what it was. It was this gal that she had some infertility issues and she had 2 children and she really wanted more. And but that had not happened for her. And so she would go to mass, and just so often there were these stories about everyone's judging me for my small family size here and there. She'd be traveling. It's like, I was in Los Angeles, or like I was in Seattle and they judged me for not having a big enough family. It's like, I think that didn't happen in Seattle. Like, I can name some parishes you could go to where, yeah, that would probably happen, but not the one that you were at. They might have been judging you for having kids. They might. By the way, I know Seattle has some great parishes. Actually, I have Catholic friends up there, but I mean, come on, that's not really the culture to be like, she only has 2 children, she's not a good Catholic. And any real Catholic would know, like, that's not even Catholicism. That's, you know, the fan fiction Catholicism people who like think everyone has to have a big family or something. So anyway, I was just thinking about that, about she was kind of always an example to me of, she walked around with this worldview that anytime she was around Catholics, she was being judged for this. And I just remember thinking, as an outsider looking in, like, yeah, I believe you have run into trad weirdos who did judge you. I absolutely believe that. The Stasia Hicks of Catholicism, they exist. But I don't think this is like a weekly thing. I think this is a paradigm that, based on just the difficult things that you've been through, and you know, just I think there might be some unresolved trauma there that is making you kind of see this paradigm. And it was instructive to me because I started to see it in myself. It's like, okay, it's not just her doing it. I do this all the time too. And I thought of her, and I thought of that situation when I realized with comedy, I'm doing the same thing. I'm telling myself these narratives of, I was in this green room and nobody wanted me there. Oh, I was in another green room where nobody wanted me there. And I was like, I think maybe none of that actually happened. I think actually everyone was totally fine, and these comics were just nervous about being on stage, and everyone was totally fine with me being there. And again, I have had moments where actually a show that I was on last month, someone was openly rude to me, and it really annoyed me. So it does happen, but this narrative that was in my head, that this is happening all the time and nobody accepts me, that was my unresolved trauma. So watch out for this in your own life. If you see patterns of people are always treating me like this is always the reaction that people have when they see me, just do a little questioning. Just do a little, like, just make sure that this is not a narrative that might not actually be true, that you're just kind of putting out there based on your own unresolved stress. And you know what I'm going to say? Journal speak, journal speak about it. Do you want to hear what the guy said in the green room that was rude?
Oh yeah.
Did I tell you about this? Okay. This is it. And you have to understand, this comic is very stylish. Let's see. He looks like he dresses, it's like very glamorous. Like, what's the what was the 1970s Shaft? Like he looks like he's a character from Shaft, like these really glamorous, what was that? Like Shaft, can you dig it? Like I should never, I need to never even try to go into that genre for anything, but he looks like he is a character from one of those films, like just as cool as he could be. So he made a dismissive comment to me, and was just like, when I tried to talk to him, he would really sort of freeze up, and just like, I tried to talk to him, and just mid-sentence while I was telling him something, he turned to someone else, and just like kind of started talking to someone else when I was in mid-sentence. So then this is my ego. I need to pray the litany of humility, because this shouldn't bother me. I should not have stewed over this for fully 48 hours, but I did. I should have gone on TikTok crying about it. Hey, listen, I've got tickets to sell. So someone was talking about desserts, and that they're trying to eat healthy, and I don't know, they're into chocolate cake or something. And this guy had been ignoring me for wouldn't talk to me even when I tried to talk to him. So I didn't think he was even part of this conversation. So I said to the person who had been talking about desserts, I said, man, I don't know what's going on with me, but I am on a jelly bean kick, and I've got these Hill Country Fare, that's a generic brand in Texas that is very low quality. I'm like, I've got the Hill Country Fare, like it's cheap, all high fructose corn syrup, jelly beans, and I am addicted. And there was this pause, and the fabulous guy was like, that really fits with your persona. And I was like, what? And he said, cheap jelly beans, that fits.
Oh boy. So glad I wasn't there.
Why didn't I cry about it on TikTok? I could be famous right now. Come on. But okay, so that was hurtful, right?
Yeah, that's
okay. Because I didn't even mention it to you, because I was like, well, that's silly. I shouldn't. But now that I say it, I'm like, that was actually pretty rude.
Yeah, that was really rude.
Okay, thank you. Okay, because
you better drop some names. I'm going after him.
Yeah. I forget his name. No. If you don't think, I will look him up. Oh, guys, by the way, and then I bombed. So he did really well, and he probably saw this because he was after me. So he probably went into the main room. So he makes that little snippy comment. I went out there. The audience had their arms folded. They gave me little chuckles, and I went into my hottest fight. Like, this never fails, my best material. And they'd be like, I mean, it was all his attitude in the audience. That was a bad night. That was not a good night for me. I remember it was like a 40-minute drive home. I didn't have any music on. I was just in my dented, beat up minivan. I was like, I am quitting all of this. I'm going to, my thing is, Caitlin, have you seen people who they make tabletops out of resin, and they put flowers in them? So so that's been my latest thing. I'm like, I'm doing resin tables. I'm going to be a resin worker, and everyone will be sorry, and they'll be like, well, shouldn't have made the jelly bean comment, but and I just drove home. I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm out, because the combination of being insulted, and you know what it was too, is that he was insulting my career, my public presence. It would be one thing if it were something like, you talk too much. We're trying to focus in the green room and you talk too much, because that's just about my personal behavior. But to say that fits with your persona, it's to say that I don't know what a person who binges on discount generic jelly beans is like, but to say that I seem that way on stage, it just made me want to quit comedy. So anyway, that is an example of sometimes people are legitimately rude to you, but and maybe your issue is not rudeness. Maybe you think that people think you're too shy or something. But if you perceive that this is happening over and over again, maybe it's true. Maybe there's something you need to work on or some interaction. But there really could be a case where you have just gotten an idea in your head based on your own unresolved stress, and it's really just not true at all. And yeah, you can find the 1 out of 50 weirdos who's going to give you an annoying interaction that confirms it. But when you look at the big picture, you will realize, yeah, actually that I don't think, like, I think this is mainly my unresolved stress and trauma that is convincing me that I keep having these interactions. So just some food for thought. Okay, main topic. Good. We're getting to it an hour into the podcast. I love it. It's kind of short. To be honest, this is a new insight of mine. This is breaking news. Breaking news from the Jen Fulwiler. Hit the breaking news sound effect.
Yep.
Breaking news. By the way, I think I have drained my drinking apparatus here. Man, if I spill this on this white sweater, I swear. Okay, this is. You cannot say I'm not committed to the bit. That is one thing can never be said about me. It's funny. Now I'm so mad about that Shelly P comment. I didn't realize how mad that I'm gonna find him and we'll make fun of him on Instagram, not publicly, but we'll pull it up and be like, oh, your outfit sucked. Yeah. This is why I don't have a burner account, by the way, because that would be my whole night tonight. It would be going yet. Right, exactly. The evening's not over yet. Yeah. If you figure out who this guy is and you find him and you see like albino redhead 78701 is leaving comments like, I think this is a really crappy joke. I don't think this is funny at all. Well, that's not me. I'll tell you that definitely Caitlin and I don't know who that is. Nope. We have no idea.
No clue.
By the way, I've been putting a bunch of good stuff on the Village Hustle Patreon, and one of them was what I really like, the new one, episode 97. Okay. I was talking about how Joe and I, but we have, well, mainly Joe. Joe has a background in the like high tech startup world. And so we knew people like Elon Musk's friends early on. Like, I'm not talking about recent Elon Musk. I'm talking about like, I was hearing that guy's name in 2003, 2004, because the PayPal mafia, those circles, all that. And I was talking about how people who have pushed through and made difficult things happen have certain personality traits that can actually be kind of helpful, even if it's something silly like you're trying to buy back to school supplies and you're really overwhelmed. and I'm not suggesting we should let's be like them entirely and, live exactly like these guys do. But I was just sharing some kind of insider knowledge I had of what a lot of these, now billionaire founder types are like, and how sometimes it helps me to kind of think like them if I'm trying to kind of get a breakthrough. That is episode 97 of the Village Hustle Patreon. Just came out this week, and you can sign up at patreon.com/thisisjen, and that is on the second level, the Village Hustle level, and you'll see all that when you go to the website. Okay. Here was my big insight, the breaking news life hack insight. But I mean, who really cares? Because what we care about actually is the antipasto stuff. But so what I realized is, obviously, I tend to procrastinate, and I often feel very stuck. That is a common thing for me. I feel stuck, and I sit in front of my laptop, and I'm just like, oh, and you know what? That's how you know so much about the antipasto situation, because I tend to feel stuck. Remember when it was a few months ago when Risa Tisa was like, who the F did I marry? And that whole thing. How did I have an encyclopedic knowledge of everything that ever happened in this woman's life? How was I able to keep you up with every single minute that happened in the Young Thug trial, and then the Drake Kendrick beef? Those were honestly some of my best episodes from last year. How is that? Because I tend to feel stuck a lot, and I tend to procrastinate a lot. So I will be 2 hours deep into a rap beef or some TikTok drama instead of getting through my to-do list. And obviously a lot has been said about people, who have ADHD tendencies, as of course I do. And then certainly there are moral dimensions of it's sloth. You're being lazy. You need to achieve a higher level of virtue and overcome sloth and get your work done. There is truth to that. Some people they're just lazy and it's a sin and they need to cut it out. I think that for most of you listening, I think that a sinful level of laziness is probably not what's going on. I have met many of you. I really doubt that's what's going on with a lot of you. Now, when the comedy millions are here and I have tens of millions of fans, then I might be like, yeah, some of you you're just lazy. Like, stop being lazy. But not you guys, not my core fans. You are not. That's not your issue. And what I think is actually going on when we are stuck and when we are procrastinating is that our nervous systems are in overload. Something has happened that makes us not feel safe, and we are in freeze response. You know, what has helped me with this is our neurotic dog, Skipper. I've not fully brought you guys into the Skipper Chronicles. So we've had Skipper since October. We love him so much. He is afraid of everything. He's the polar opposite of Caitlin's dog, who loves everyone, is afraid of nothing, just loves everyone immediately. Our dog is terrified of everyone and everything. And it's been interesting to work with Skipper. And it actually, one of my daughters and my husband, he is comfortable around. And when he is around Joe or Kate, he's fine. He's like Caitlin's dog. He's very happy-go-lucky. His tail is wagging. He's having a great time. The minute he loses sight of one of them, it's that he's terrified. He's in a corner. He's hunkering down. And it's interesting to see how much his nervous system is telling him not to move because he is scared. You know, when the nervous system is in overload, all of us tend to go to fight or flight or freeze. And I find Skipper very relatable because he goes to freeze. And some dogs, just like some people, they go to fight. We all know that type of dog, that if they feel stressed out or threatened, immediately they're growling, they're snapping at people. Or flight, they're just taking off. They get stressed and they just try to run away. Skipper freezes, which is, he doesn't understand what a best friend I could be for him, because I can really relate to that. And I think that a lot of you guys who spend a lot of time procrastinating and feeling stuck, I think what this is a freeze response. And here's why this matters, to have this distinction. Because if you just think it's about, I'm just kind of generally overwhelmed in an innocuous way, I just have too much to do and I'm kind of lazy about it, then the steps you would take are just like telling yourself to power through, just like, I just stop being so lazy and get it done. Whereas when you realize it is a nervous system issue and say, okay, forget my to-do list for a second. For some reason, my body is not feeling safety. Why is my body not feeling safety? And how can I get my nervous system to relax? When you take that approach, watch how much easier it is to get through your to-do list. You might still feel moments of like, oh, this is a lot, I don't have enough time. But it's not the same, like I am completely frozen and stuck. And if you've ever seen a dog like Skipper, when you just try to force them, I mean, if we were to just try to grab him by the collar and force him to be around a stranger, I mean, he would just go into complete mental meltdown. I mean, it just wouldn't be helpful to him. And the ways that we have gotten him to open up to people a little more it's kind of, frankly, it is sort of a nervous system based approach, giving him a little bit of exposure to people to learn that he doesn't have to feel unsafe and blah, blah, blah. So to take it back to us, just today, I was so stuck. I was so frozen. And so I did the nervous system inquiry. I said, all right, it seems like something has made me not feel safe. So let's figure out what it is. You know what I'm going to say? It was journal speak. But listen, okay, look, you don't have to do actual journal speak. I think this is one where probably you can just think about, talk to a friend, just kind of think out loud, think silently. I don't think you fully have to do journal speak if you don't want to. But I just thought, like, what would make me not feel safe right now about this to-do list? And I started looking through it, and it was this simple thing where So Caitlin knows I made an amazing meal tonight. It was so good. Have you guys heard of Marry Me Chicken? It gets the name like they say if a woman makes it for a guy, he'll want to marry her. But now everybody makes it. Just Google the recipe. It's called Marry Me Chicken. It's so good. So I'd put that on the calendar for tonight. But it turns out a couple of my kids aren't going to be here. So I wasn't sure if anybody would really eat it. And I hate wasting meat. I have a thing about like wasting meat. I do not like that. And then I get overwhelmed by recipes. I will not bore you with the details. Suffice it to say, I realized I had a lot of issues around cooking this meal that I was going to probably feel underappreciated about it, and it was going to be difficult. And then there was some regret of like, I'm recording the podcast tonight. Why am I cooking this brand new meal that's like not simple? It's not throwing two things in a crock pot and walking away. Like, why am I doing this? And so I actually didn't journal speak. I just sat there and thought about it, and I realized, God, this is crazy, but I actually have an enormous amount of stress that is leading to a feeling of lack of safety around this meal. And so I just kind of tried to de-escalate that and say, you know what? I don't have to make this meal. I can freeze the chicken. I can do it next week. You know, Caitlin would be shocked if she did not have a gourmet dinner ready when she arrived. Caitlin has come so many times and I'm like, I forgot about dinner. I know I usually make dinner, but I forgot. But here's a bag of chips. It's only been expired 2 weeks. I don't think they're even serious about those dates. Like, Caitlin would not notice or care because she knows how it goes at this. Maybe somebody would show up with an antipasto who I didn't expect to be there. Then I'd be like, I'm not kicking you out. I really needed this. But it's silly. Like there is no reason that a grown woman should feel a lack of safety about a stupid recipe. But I really did. And so there are different things you can do. You can do the EFT, emotional freedom technique, tapping, where you like tap your forehead, tap your chin, whatever. I've also heard of havening, where you move your hands up and down your arms. A lot of people say that helps. In my case, I shut off all my devices and I just sat for a second and I just kind of thought through the situation until I felt peace about it, until I didn't feel that like stress, like lack of safety kind of stress, that I was like, you know, one of my big issues was I was worried my family would be disappointed and hungry if I don't make it. But if I do make it and they don't eat it, then that's really frustrating. And one of the things that led to lack of safety was the potential conflict with family. Like if people are disappointed in me, I'm not providing, you know, what I need to provide for my children, and then they won't want to eat at home. And it all ends with like, I'm going to die alone because I didn't make the Marry Me chicken. And these are the kind of silly, irrational things that we can get in our head, but it's a real thing. And I did have a lot of really weird worst case scenarios playing out in my mind, all about this stupid recipe. So I shut everything down. I shut my laptop. I set my phone aside. I took a break from antipasto drama research. And I just said, you know what, like, how can I get myself to a feeling of safety here? And once I brought it all out into the light, once I brought it to my conscious mind, then I was able to realize, yeah, this is not that big of a deal. I mean, I'm just going to make it. And if they don't eat it, I'll just freeze it and we'll serve it as leftovers, or I'll send it home with Caitlin or whatever. And as usual, once you bring it out into your conscious mind, into the light, a lot of times these things kind of dissipate on their own. I was able to laugh at myself, say, okay, that's kind of silly, that I was feeling a genuine nervous system overload, lack of safety about making this meal. Totally silly, but it was there. And once I kind of unpacked everything, I thought, okay, I kind of checked in with myself. Do I still feel like physically this, you know, nervous system firing, like, you're not safe, this is bad, you're not safe? I realized, okay, not really. This is that was the big thing. And then I went back to my to-do list, bang, 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 bang. I was able to go through a whole bunch of stuff, get it done. And it just suddenly, it's like everything opened up and I was unblocked. And Another technique that I've done is sometimes if I feel that nervous system stress about, sometimes I feel that way about just physical tasks like opening boxes, whatever. Once again, when I kind of thought through it, I had to open some stuff I got on Amazon on Prime Day, it was recently. And I was very blocked. Again, I realized it was freeze response. This was, that's where the block came from, that I just couldn't get these packages opened. When I explored that, I realized I felt guilty about buying new stuff because our house is already cluttered and I don't really have a place to put some of this stuff, and my bathroom counter is already overflowing, and now we have new skincare products. And is Joe going to be like, did you need the 5th moisturizer? How much did that cost? All of his man questions. And that's what it was really about. That I said that, I'm ADHD, I'm procrastinating, I'm just blocked. But really, I was having a nervous system freeze response of lack of safety. And again, of course, I don't mean physical, like, a boulder's going to fall on me for this, but just like feeling that irrational cave woman sense, like something's not right, this isn't good. I was having that from having these packages because deep down inside in my subconscious, every time I looked at them, it was like, I don't have a place for this in the house. I shouldn't have bought this. Why do I have a problem? Why am I buying all this stuff? And when I unpacked that, and instead of working on not being so lazy or not being a procrastinator, when I worked on getting myself back to a place of safety and peace and just thinking through these issues and saying, you know what? If I open this and I don't think I'll use it, I'll return it. You can return it. It's not that big of a deal. And just kind of thinking through all of this and like, this moisturizer is worth every penny. $80 for a moisturizer. That's a bargain, I'm sure Joe would agree. But once I thought through all that, I was able to just physically feel safe and feel calm. And then just kind of push myself to do it. All right, just get this stuff done. Just do it. And then once I was in the rhythm, I was able to do it. I got so much done, not just the packages, but other important, paying bills, whatever, other stuff that I had to do that way. So I really encourage you guys, especially those of you who are overwhelmed moms, to take a minute when you feel blocked and just kind of unpack. This might be a nervous system issue. You might be in the freeze response. It might not be about laziness. It might not be about procrastination per se. This might be that you are having a nervous system overload and you are in the freeze response. And when you either think or talk or journal or whatever about what is really making you feel stressed and unsafe, just watch how much easier it is to get over those blocks and stop procrastinating and get things done. Another fine episode here, here on the Jen Fulwiler Show. How is this podcast free? We cannot figure it out. Join the Patreon, patreon.com/thisisjen. We have some tour dates coming soon. I have quite a few booked with more to come. I will be announcing that sometime in the next couple of weeks. Excited to share that with you, and we will be back with you next week here on the Jen Fulwiler Show.